We can start, Bhantaji.
नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं वन्द्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वंदेहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिर्वाण पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको अपनायको पच्चत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति नमो तस्सनियानिक सदम्मसा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिर्वाणपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुद्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुद्गला महासंगसा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं संगो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिर्वाण पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सर्व संपत्ति सिद्धिया सर्व दुःखं विनाशाय सर्व भयं विनाशाय सर्व रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुगदायक सर्व लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तन्तं वनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्तदं धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं वदन्ता धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं वदन्ता परितश्रवण कालो अयं वदन्ता नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा वन्दे धनङ्करं बुद्धं वन्दे मेदङ्करं मुनिं शरणङ्करं मुनिं वन्दे दीपङ्करं जिनानमे वंदे कोंडान्य सत्तारं वंदे मंगलनायका वंदे सुमान संबुद्धं वंदे रेवतनायका वंदे शोभित संबुद्धं अनुमद सिंह मुनिन्नमे वंदे पदुम संबुद्धं वंदे नारदनायका पदुमुत्तरं मुनि वंदे वंदे सुमेधनायका वंदे सुजात संबुद्धं पियद सिंह मुनिन्नमे अत्तद सिंह मुनि वंदे धम्मद सिंह जिनानमे वंदे सिद्धार्थ सत्तारं वंदे तिस्सा महामुनि वंदे पुस्सा महावीरं वंदे विपस्सिनायका सिकिं महामुनिं वंदे वंदे वत्सभुनायका ककुसंदं मुनिं वंदे वंदे कोनगमनायका कस्सपं सुगतं वंदे वंदे गौतमनायका अट्टविंशति इमे बुद्धा निब्बानमतदायका नमामि शिरसा नित्यं ते मं रक्षन्तु सर्वदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन श्रुतिनो होतु सर्वदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रत्नत्रयम् Sabbityo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayo bhava bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanganubhavena sada swati bhavantu te. Imina punyakam hena mame bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yavanipana pattiya idang me punyakam asavakayang vaham hotu sabba dukkha pamucchatu nibbana sampacchayo hotu. Sat. So today's topic is like it's about two women, two very special women. Lay women, they were not like bhikkhunis or they were not nuns. They were lay women. They were very rich. One was queen, Mallika Devi. She was a queen, and the other one is a billionaire, a multimillionaire. But still, their faith, devotion, how devoted they were towards Buddha and Sangha, and then how wise they were. It's not just the devotion, it's not just the faith, it is their wisdom and virtue. That's what I wanted to highlight in today's Dhamma talk. So whatever we discuss in our Dhamma talks, so the idea is, say, about some individuals, like some great disciples, monastic disciples, monks or nuns, or the great lay disciples like this, Mallika and Vishakha. Sometime back we discussed about Acharya. Sometime back we discussed about Sonadanda, Kutadanta. So from different sections of the society, many people became followers of Buddha. So the idea here is not to simply praise them, glorify their personality. It's not just say showing our reverence and respect to these great individuals. In addition to that, what is that we can imbibe, we can learn from them. That's also important. How virtuous and how wise they are, how they could combine the virtue and wisdom in their lives, and they could derive the best from the life, the best from the existence. So that is the idea of introducing these different characters from the Buddhist scriptures. Sometime back, Buddha's mother, Mahapajapati Gautami, that we have seen, her virtues, her qualities. Because it may be difficult for everyone to connect to Buddha himself. That's why the Sangha, the concept of Sangha has come. The concept of maybe a little bit of hierarchy also has come in the Sangha, and especially in the Arya Sangha and in Bhikkhu Sangha also. So, because for different individuals with different, say, temperaments, different mentalities, it may not be always Buddha who can be an inspiration for them. Definitely, of course, Buddha is inspiration to different kinds of individuals, because if you see his previous lives, again, in previous life, he was, say, like an ordinary person, sometimes an animal also, sometimes a king, sometimes a minister, sometimes like millionaire, whatever it is. So when you go through his previous lives, somehow it is easy to connect to each and every one with Buddha's previous lives, his virtues, his wisdom. And in the present life of Buddha, if you see the lives of other individuals, the followers of Buddha, the Sangha of Buddha, like these two women, great women also, it may be an inspiration for many women, not only women, those who are interested in building their mind, developing their mind, the qualities, the virtues the wisdom, the skillfulness of these brave women. They're not only intelligent, they're quite brave, they're quite confident, courageous women. That's how one can imbibe and learn so many things from the lives of the disciples of Buddha also. Learning from Buddha is one thing, and learning from the disciples also is very relevant even today, because that's how the world is, that's how the minds are. Different minds require different say inspirations, different kinds of inspiration. Just like I used to say, different minds require different kinds of meditations, meditation objects to connect with, and to get absorbed into those meditation objects, and to derive what is called the stillness of the mind and the absorptions of the mind, and then getting the insights of the mind. The same way, one can have the inspiration and say connection with the different disciples also, Buddha, who having different virtues, different backgrounds, different status in the society. So all such different individuals definitely have an inspiration for a lot of people even today. So keeping those things in the mind, it is better to discuss not only the sutras or the discourses of Buddha, not only some relevant things which are suitable for the present day, like about how to handle stress, how to handle anger, how to handle anxiety. These things are all okay. They appeal to majority of the people, but still, even the personality traits, how they behaved in different situations, circumstances, the challenging situations, how these great individuals, these disciples, they acted, they behaved, that also gives a lot of inspiration, and then that also inspires people to work on their mind. That's the very essence of all these discourses, just to motivate you, inspire you to work on your mind. So that requires different approaches. Just one approach may not be appealing to everyone, so it requires different approaches. So through stories like Jataka stories, through Dhammapada gathas, through the direct discourses of Buddha, through the life of Buddha, through the life and teachings of some of his great disciples, the life of some of the lay disciples, all these things, it will inspire for everyone, for different kinds of temperaments, different kinds of individuals to work on their mind and develop their mind. So that is the idea of introducing these different disciples also in our Dhamma talks. Even though they're lay disciples, they're so virtuous, they're so wise. So to understand how they could develop that kind of wisdom and virtue, and because of which how they could develop deep devotion and faith, and they could purify themselves further, and they could become the Aryas, like Sotapannas, Sagdagamis, Anagamis, Arahants. And sometimes the very right faith they developed because of, again, their previous punya. How that strong faith, it pushed them, it motivated them to practice the teachings of Buddha and purify their minds further, and how they could liberate themselves. All these things are quite inspiring, and so many things we can learn. There are so many key takeaways from these great individuals, disciples of Buddha. So here, keeping those things in my mind, I have selected these two great women, Mallika and Vishakha. When I started going through the life and the virtues and wisdom, different events that are quite inspiring from the lives of these two great women. So there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff. So their life, their previous lives, a lot of information, a lot of material is available about their previous lives also. And again, of course, it's also quite inspiring. But if to cover all those things and all that information in this talk, it is highly impossible. So I just thought of introducing a few incidents, anecdotes from their life, which will express, which will show the virtue and the wisdom, how virtuous and how wise these women are. How with their virtue and with their wisdom, how they could help so many people, how they could change the minds of so many individuals who are stuck with a lot of wrong views and wrong ideas. So those things I thought of highlighting in today's Dhamma talk. So we can't cover each and every aspect of their life. And of course, each and every aspect also, it gives some message, some lesson. But a few major incidents that happened in the lives of these two women that are quite inspiring, and how they could handle difficult situations and how they could help so many people. So that's what we can see in today's Dhamma talk. And definitely, as our previous talks, this will also inspire you to have a few key takeaways and imbibe them in your lives also. So that is the idea. Now coming to say Vishakha, one very special lady who is not a queen or who is not from, who is not a nun also, but as a householder, how she could play one dominant role, very, very important role in the life of Buddha, in the life of say Buddha Sasana, in promoting the Buddha's teachings and protecting, safeguarding Buddha's teachings, and protecting the Sangha, safeguarding the Sangha in all aspects, in protecting and safeguarding Buddha, in protecting and safeguarding Dhamma, his teachings, and also in protecting and safeguarding the Sangha, the disciples of Buddha, serious disciples of Buddha. So in all these, say, three kinds of protection of this Triratana, Vishakha has a role, very prominent role, very significant role she played in protecting, preserving these three Ratanas, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So in that way, Vishakha is a very special and significant character we can see in the life of Buddha. Now coming to a little bit of the life story of this lady, Vishakha. When she was just 7 years old, she came across with the teachings of Buddha and she became Arya. Arya means like Sotapana. She could see the glimpse of Nibbana at the age of 7 itself. That's what the scriptures say. From that time onwards, she developed a lot of faith in Buddha. And even she got married. So of course, her parents and all, they were very devout disciples of Buddha. Even after her marriage, she was married to one rich millionaire again in Savasti. Her father was also a millionaire, and she was married to one rich millionaire, Punyavardhana. He was also in Shavasti, where Buddha stayed for so many years, nearly some 25 years. So in her husband's family, there was not much support for her practice of Dhamma. So because they were following the different religion, different teachings. They say they were practicing the teachings of Mahavira. Her father-in-law, he was practicing the teachings of Nigantanatha Buddha. That means that Mahavira, that is our other name for Mahavira, that is Nigantanatha. Nigantas means like they were having long hair, and many of them were naked also. So he used to worship and practice the teachings of these Nigantas, the father-in-law of this Vishakha. And his name is Migara. His name is Migara. So one famous incident that we can see in the life of Vishakha is how she could convert or change the mind of this Migara to become the follower of Buddha. and thereby how the life of so many people around him in her in-laws family, it was changed. So that is very much mentioned in the scriptures. So once one monk, he was taking alms, and he came uh, in front of this house of Migara, where Vishakha was also there. Migara, he was not much interested in offering alms to this Buddhist monk. So he ignored and he started eating, pretending as if he has not seen this monk. This Vishakha observed, and she very intelligently, of course, with some strong words, she said to this monk, "So please leave this house, sir, Venerable sir. My father-in-law, he is eating the stale food. He's eating the stale food. You please leave this house." In that way, she requested the monk. By hearing this, he became very furious. Megara became very furious, the father. And he was having some kind of ill will, some kind of displeasure with his daughter-in-law, because she is following the different faith. She is not obeying his instructions to follow his faith. So he was looking for some excuse to send her out of the house, or to rebuke her, or to have some control over her, to dominate her. He was looking for some situation. And now this situation he thought is a suitable situation to dominate her, to rebuke her, to control her, or to change her from her faith. So that was the intention of this Migara. And he became very furious and angry, and he called everyone. He said, "So she has insulted me, saying that I am eating the stale food. I want explanation for this. Why she has to tell like that? Why she has to insult me like that?" Then, of course, some wise people also gathered, and she started giving the explanation for her, the so-called insult, though it is not insult. So he started giving the reason. And her reasoning is like, say, by offering dana, by offering the food or dana, the necessary, the requisites to a virtuous person, to a person who is working for liberation, that is the highest punya. So if you have that punya only, you get all the worldly things. So if you are generous, then only you will get all the requisites that are required for your worldly pleasures, like food, like clothing, like shelter, like all other things, like servants, everything you will get if you are generous. My father-in-law, he has some old punya, and because of that old punya, now he is getting the food. But he is not interested in generating more punya. That's why he is not in a position to offer anything. He is stuck with his old punya only, and because of the old punya, because of the result of that old punya, he is getting food. So that old punya, I called it as stale food. What is the stale food? It is the old food, or the food that is prepared some time back. So that he is eating means he is eating only the results of his old punya. He is not interested in generating new punya by learning this art of generosity, this art of dana, this art of giving. So that's why I called him as a person who is eating the stale food, who is only getting the results of his old punya, and who is not interested in generating new punya. So in that sense, I have told him that he is eating the stale food. That was very, very convincing and very, very intelligent answer, with a lot of compassion also towards her father-in-law, Vigara. And Vigara also was also a wise man, because of some wrong views, as I used to say. It's wrong views. If you are very firm in your wrong view, then all your wisdom will get eroded, will be destroyed. That's what happened in the case of Migara also. But once this very, very intelligent, very timely very skillful, very practical way of, say, giving one lesson to this Migara. It completely changed his view. And he understood the importance of the right view, the moderation, the middle path, not being carried away with like extreme ideas like torturing the body. So that kind of torturing the body, it fascinates the lay people generally. They think that, oh, torturing the body, they're so great. We are not in a position to torture the body. We can't fast even for one day, and these people, they fast for so many days. That way, that those things, the extreme views and extreme practices, it will fascinate the lay people, the ordinary people. Just like the miracles and the supernormal powers also fascinate the lay people. They've completely surrendered to such people who have some skills of a magician or who have some extreme views. They think that itself is spirituality. That's out of, in many cases, in majority of the cases, it is because of innocence. So the same thing happened in the case of Migara also. He was an innocent person who get trapped by these extreme views, and some maybe, yeah, mainly in this case, it is extreme views of simply torturing the body. And in some other cases, you can see just by showing some magical tricks, people can be trapped. They can be fooled. They can become the followers. That's why Buddha, he never encouraged the exhibition of the supernormal powers, simply to fool the people and simply to trap the people and to make them more foolish, more innocent, more ignorant. The very idea of Buddha's mission is to sharpen the minds, sharpen the consciousness, sharpen the awareness of the people, and of course, thereby to sharpen their wholesome feelings like compassion, and all sharpen their wholesome confidence. So, the main emphasis of Buddha's work, Buddha's mission, is to sharpen the intelligence, sharpen the awareness. So that's why he never used to encourage all these supernormal powers and extreme views, extreme and torturing of the body based on the extreme views. But unfortunately, during those days and during these days also, even now, many people, they get trapped by this, say, extreme views, extreme practices, and these magical powers. That's how the world is, like always. It will remain foolish. It will not evolve. It will not evolve in the consciousness. It will not evolve in the wisdom. It will not evolve even in the compassion. They remain rigid. They remain foolish. They remain faithful blindly. Blindly, they remain faithful. So the same thing was the reason for the wrong belief or wrong faith of this Migara also. So as he learned this very powerful message, very practical, very timely, very relevant, he was quite impressed with the intelligence and with the compassion of his daughter-in-law, Vishakha. And from then onwards, of course, he became the follower of Buddha. He started inviting the Sangha and the teachers from the Buddha's Sangha, and he started listening to the discourses, and he started offering the dana and the alms to disciples of Buddha and Buddha also. And more than that, he developed tremendous faith and tremendous respect to his daughter-in-law. And he started calling her as mother. Just like mother gives birth to a kid and gives new life, gives life to a birth. In the same way, you gave life to me. The spiritual life, you gave spiritual life to me. You have completely changed my view and changed my, perception towards life. And because of you only, I could get the true happiness, the true peace of mind, the true wisdom and freedom. In that way, he started respecting his daughter-in-law as his mother. And he started calling her as his mother. And people also started respecting this Vishakha as Migara Mata, the mother of Migara. Though she is the daughter-in-law of Migara, because Migara started calling her as Mother Mata, the people also started calling her as Migara Mata. And once the head of the family is converted or changed from wrong view to right view, then everybody in that family and in that circle, they became the followers of this right view. They also could change around and they could follow the right view. So in that way, she could change each and everyone in her family one by one, very wisely, very skillfully. And of course, this is one major change that happened in her family. In the same way, she could change so many other people also. And of course, because of her wisdom and because of her diligence, she was very, very hardworking. She was having a very big family. They say this, she was having some 20 children and very big business. And she was having the responsibility of taking care of the Sangha also. She used to take care of Sangha. She built the monasteries. And in Shravasti also she built a monastery. Migara Mata Pasada, one big monastery built by this Migara Mata. It's called Migara Mata Pasada. Buddha used to stay some time in this Migara Mata Pasada in Savatthi, and sometimes he used to stay in Anathapindika, one more great disciple, great lay supporter of Buddha. He also built one monastery in Shravasti. So sometimes alternately he used to stay in this Anathapindikas and this Vishaka's monasteries in Shravasti. So in that way, this lady Vigara, she used to, as a laywoman, she used to handle so many responsibilities. In addition to the responsibilities of taking care of the family and business, she used to take the responsibility of the Sangha also. And not only that, she was such a wise lady, even though she is a laywoman, lay disciple, lay supporter. When there is some kind of conflict in the Sangha, even the Bhikkhuni Sangha, especially the Bhikkhuni Sangha, when there is some kind of conflict in following the rules and regulations, this Migara Mata or this Vishaka, she used to come and she used to resolve those conflicts. She was such a wise lady. Even the monks and nuns, she used to invite Migara Mata, this Vishaka, to resolve so many conflicts in the Sangha. So that much was her in-depth knowledge and her profoundness in the rules and regulations of even the monks and nuns. That was the power, the intellectual power of this lady, Vishaka. And because of her, the custom, the tradition of, say, offering monks, offering the robes to the monks during this Vasa, during this rainy retreat, that started. And the bathing cloth, that's the custom, the tradition of using the bathing cloth for both monks and nuns, using the robes or the donating robes, the robes donation from the lay people. Those traditions started because of Vishaka. She could compassionately, she could see the necessities of the monks and nuns. See her compassion also. She could see the monks are bathing naked in the open, that may not be good. The nuns also, better to give them the bathing cloths. In rainy season, it is very difficult for them to weave the clothes. It is better the lay people offer the clothes to the monks. So in that way, she started that tradition, the tradition of offering the robes to the monks during the rainy season, offering bathing clothes. That way, she was responsible for even laying down so many rules and regulations, again, which will help the serious meditators or the monks or the nuns who are seriously into this meditation practice and liberating their mind. So for them, what are the constraints, what are the difficulties, what are the challenges, the worldly challenges they could face, and how to say solve them, resolve them with the help of the lay people. So that kind of intelligence she had. And she used to start that kind of generous action, generous say activities from herself only. And then all other lay people used to follow, and they used to start supporting the Sangha, the monks and nuns. In that way, her compassion is also very, very great. Because of her great compassion only, many monks and nuns, they could practice meditation without any problem. They could liberate themselves. And because of her great intelligence, she could resolve the issues in the Sangha also. Forget about the issues in the family or in the with the lay people. Even in the monastic sangha also she could resolve with her intelligence and wisdom. In that way, she is an embodiment of ultimate compassion and ultimate wisdom. So that is the virtue and wisdom of this great lady, Vishakha. And she was, they say, she was very beautiful also. She was having 5 virtues with her physical appearance, in addition to her intelligence and her Shila is also very powerful. So the powerful Shila is possible with compassion and wisdom. Combination of compassion and wisdom only will make you a virtuous person. So because she was very powerful in her compassion and intelligence or wisdom, she was very virtuous also. So in that way, we can see so many things that happen in the life of says Buddha and the Sangha also. She could support in several ways. This Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, all the 3 Ratanas. Okay, so that is about Vishakha. There are so many other stories related to this, and how she could convert so many other kinds of people also with her intelligence and wisdom. I think this much is enough about Vishakha, because we have to cover a few things from the life of Mallika. Again, who is this Mallika? Mallika, she was the daughter of one very poor garland maker, from a low class, from poor class also. But again, because of her previous karma, previous punya, she was also very beautiful. But she was one very easygoing, very joyful girl. So at the age of 16, she was, she could encounter Buddha. And she was, of course, selling the flowers because her father was a garland maker. So instead of offering flowers to the king, Pasenadi, she saw Buddha, and because of her previous connection and because of her previous punya, somehow it was the personality of Buddha was so inspiring. So she offered the flowers to Buddha. Out of that joy, that inner joy, she offered flowers to Buddha. So Buddha, so then he could foresee the future of this girl, and he started telling about her future to the people around him, the disciples around him, and she will become the queen. And many people, they could not believe Buddha. But on the same day, in the evening, when she was singing and having some time, some free time in the park, in the king's park, the king Pasenadi, so he waged a war against his nephew Ajatashatru, but he was defeated by his nephew. So he was a little bit upset, and he was coming back from the war, from the battlefield, and he just wanted to go through his park, just to have some relaxation in the park. And he heard this singing of this girl, this Mallika. And he was quite inspired with that singing, and he started following it. And he just saw this girl, and she was very beautiful. And after all, he was a king. And he inquired whether she's married or not. And when she said she's not married, then he took some rest with her in that park. And then the very next day, he sent some people to her father's house, and he asked his father for the alliance with this girl, with his daughter. So then that very day, that very next day, she became the queen, the chief queen of Kosala, this Pasenadi. So in that way, so they say, of course, her previous punya, the previous punya based the virtues, the qualities like her beauty, her attractiveness in singing and all, her nature, the feminine attraction. and also her good heart. All these things within one day. So by offering flowers to the Samma Sambuddha with goodwill, with inner joy. So these things made her to get more punya and to become the chief queen of that kingdom, that is Kosala kingdom. So in that way, that is the power of generosity. So she became the chief queen, and she had tremendous faith in Buddha. And she is the one who could inspire, who could say motivate her husband also to become the follower of Buddha. He was having some kind of doubt. Though he was also a very intelligent person, her husband, Pasenadi, he was also having faith. But sometimes he used to lose faith in Buddha. And again, she used to come to the scene, and this Mallika Devi, and she used to convince this Pasenadi. So how great or how powerful and how wise is Buddha in his decisions and in his teachings and in his suggestions to the king and to the safety of the kingdom. In that way, she won the heart of this king, and of course, all the subjects also, they were very happy with the queen. And once this king had some doubt in some issue, and that issue it came because I will just tell the background of that issue also. Once one person, he's lost his son. He lost his son, and he was weeping and he was crying like anything. He was in a lot of agony and worry. And when he went to Buddha, Buddha told him, so because of love only, because of affectionate people only, we come across, we have to go through a lot of agony, stress, anxiety, depression, suffering. So somehow that could not convince that man who lost his son. And when this was heard by the king, so he also felt what Buddha said, how our own people will create cause, they create suffering, create agony, create pain for us. This I can't agree. So, but Buddha said that because of our own affectionate people, so we suffer. So this seems to be little, unacceptable for me. In that way, he told his wife, Mallika. But Mallika says, if it is told by Buddha, it should be true. So she outrightly rejected the idea, the thinking of her husband. And he became a little upset. He became a little furious also. And then this lady Mallika, she sent one of her ministers to go and discuss about this. Why our own affectionate people, they create trouble for us. They create pain and suffering for us. Just go and inquire with Buddha. And Buddha, so she started giving a lot of examples. How our own people, like in the case of this Mallika and her husband, King Pasenadi, they had only one daughter, Vajira or Vajiri, her name. So if some problem happens to her daughter, whether the king will be happy or the queen will be happy, the king used to love her so much. She was very, very dear to the king, his daughter. If something happens to her, I can't outright it. Forget about he losing her. If some problem happens to his daughter, he can't bear those things. So that means, in that sense only, I told that our loved ones only create a lot of suffering, anxiety, agony, worry for us. In that sense, I told. So when he started giving these different examples, so then that minister was very much convinced and he was so happy, and he narrated all these things to his wife. And his wife, she knew Buddha, whatever he speaks, it will be full of wisdom and truth. So because of these convincing answers, she became very happy, and again she convinces her husband with these different examples. And again, he also developed a lot of clarity about the attachment, the problems of attachment, the problem of raga, the problem of prema, the problem of this endearness of this so-called love and affection, they create a lot of problem. That reality he could realize, that truth he could realize, and he became uh, more devoted, became more uh, loyal, more devoted to the after that. That way, many things, many events happened in the life of this King Pasenadi, this Queen Mallika Devi, and this and between Sangha and this royal family. And many a times he used to come with his wife to get solution to many of his problems in administration. So as a king, he used to face a lot of issues, lot of conflicts while taking decisions. After all, the decision is important for everyone for that matter, especially for a king. The right decisions at the right time are very crucial. For that, the wisdom of these enlightened people, like Arahants and the Samma Sambuddha, is a must. The spiritual, the enlightened, the wise people is a must. So he developed a lot of faith in Buddha. So very often he used to visit Buddha and he used to get solutions for many of the problems, personal problems, family problems, and the problems of the society, the problems of the country. He used to get solution from Buddha. And of course, he used to get a lot of clarity about those solutions from his wife Mallika. To that extent, she was intelligent, she was faithful to Buddha, she was, quite smart. Articulation, her articulation of the problems and the solutions is also so powerful. So she could convince her husband about the decisions of Buddha. So in that way, this combination, it worked out very well. The combination of Buddha, Mallika Devi, and King Pasenadi, it worked out very well, and it benefited millions of people in that kingdom, in the Kosala kingdom. And one more important discourse was given to this Queen Mallika. It's called Mallika Devi Sutta. She saw some of the women in her palace or outside also. Some of them were beautiful but not virtuous. Some of them are not, rich, but they are beautiful. Some of them are very influential, but may not be having richness and beauty. These things, it puzzled her. Why these disparities of the beauty and ugliness, richness and poverty, power and no power? Though you may be having beauty and richness, you may lack a lot of power. Your influencing capacity may not be there. So that kind of people also she could see around her. So she started asking Buddha about these kind of disparities in the world. And very rarely people will have all these three virtues. The richness, the prosperity, and the beauty, and the power, the influencing capacity. That's what the people look for in the worldly life. So they look for these three powerful virtues: the prosperity, the beauty, the physical attraction and beauty, and the influencing capacity, the mental attraction, the ability to influence others. So when this was asked by this Mallika Devi to Buddha, Buddha could very convincingly answer her. The previous actions which are responsible for this kind of consequences. This is very much explained in a few more suttas also. Those suttas, I think some of you might have heard in the level 3 program. I think level 3 program highlight the importance of this cause and effect, the karma and its consequences and its results. Here also a glimpse of that idea of the cause and effect you will get in this discourse that is given to this Mallika Devi, the chief queen of this King Pasenadi. So, what Buddha answers? What is the Buddha's answer in this Mallika Devi Sutta? Say, especially in the previous life, if a person is very much generous, he is like say he is habituated to giving. Again and again, he is deriving the happiness in giving. Such a person, that sum total, it will be pushed. That virtue will be pushed in the present life, and automatically you will take birth in a rich family, because that is the mental flow. Giving is the mental flow that will push you to the family where there is a lot of things available, so that you want to give. When you have that mental flow or the mental intentions full of giving, when you take birth in a poor family, then it will not satisfy you, because you can't give. In a poor family, you can't give. But mental flow will be struck. That's why how the karma works. If you are habituated to giving, then you take birth in a place where there is a lot of wealth, so that that flow will not be obstructed. So that's why the previous life habituated actions, they have tremendous impact on the present life. The birth in the present life, the place of birth in the present life, the family of birth in the present life, the circumstances, the situations around you in the present life, they're very much influenced by the previous life's actions and the intentions. The intentionful actions like this generosity. If you're generous, then you will take birth in a family where there is a lot of wealth and prosperity. If you are very stingy, in your previous life, if your mind is habituated to stinginess, then the existence, there is no need for the existence to support such kind of mind, which is not in a position to give. Then you don't require that kind of, say, amenities or the facilities or the resources around you, where you need not, you don't want to give. If you don't want to give, then why should you have so many things? So that's why you take birth in a place where there is nothing, in a poor family, in a poor circumstance. So in that way, Buddha could explain these things to Mallika Devi, and she could understand this law of karma. Only a few people can understand the depth and the significance of this law of cause and effect. And this wise lady, she could thoroughly understand this. And again, Buddha's answer to why some people are beautiful and why some people are ugly. And again, the compassion, the forgiveness, the patience, these three qualities, if you develop the compassion, just to become, like, say, instead of developing some kind of grudge or some kind of, say, displeasure or irritation, if you develop compassion towards the ignorant or the weak people or the inefficient people, then automatically that compassion will make your mind calm, and it will make you, like, say, the face also become calm. And the patience, with so many things going around you which are not favorable, but still if you can tolerate it with patience, that will also make your mind equanimous and calm. It will also make your face calm and peaceful, and say, even, of course, there is no irritation in the face. When there is no irritation in the mind, there is no irritation in the face. That leads to ugliness. That irritability leads to ugliness. Through patience, through compassion, so one, through forgiveness, to keep the grudge. You can't forgive, you keep grudge, you keep revenge. That will again create a lot of irritability in your mind. And that irritability, it will be expressed in your face also. And that is what is ugliness. That leads to ugliness. That long faceness, that irritable face, that leads to ugliness in the face. So in that way, if a person is habituated to this kind of compassion, forgiving, and patience, then such a person will become beautiful and attractive because of that loving kindness, compassion, that forgiving ability, the patience. He becomes, those things will express in the face also, and that's why he becomes he or she becomes attractive, good looking, beautiful. Conversely, the opposite of him is like they're always irritable, no patience, no compassion, always grudgeful mind, revengeful mind, and then no forgiving, no compassion. Then that kind of mind, it will attract the germs of that long face, the irritable face, and one will become ugly. The lost mind at the time of death, so that is actually very crucial mind. If that mind is full of that habituated intentions like this grudgefulness or say irritability, that will give a big push at the time of death, and that push will take you to the place or take you to the body or take you to the situation where that irritation, where that ugliness is very much conspicuous. So in that way, Buddha could explain, give answer to her question. But of course, opposite also, of course, if you are pleasant, and if you are full of metta, loving kindness, and compassion, a lot of patience, you take birth. Those things will accumulate at the time of death, and it will appear in the mental screen at the time of death, and that will push you to a body which is full of, say, beauty, appealing, say, attraction in the face, in the body. So that was very convincing. And then how some people become influential, powerful. Their words carry a lot of weightage and the people follow it. And why some people are not influential, their words will not follow any weightage. It's because the very powerful reason is, so again, the habituated actions or the intentions in the previous life, that is, if you're full of jealousy towards others' success, if you can't tolerate others' success, then that kind of mentality, that kind of intentions will attract the germs of uninfluentiality or no power. Though you may be having prosperity because of your giving, though you may be having a lot of beauty and attraction because of your metta and compassion, but deep inside you have this kind of jealousy and unappreciativeness, non-appreciativeness, no mudita, no appreciation towards others' success, others' joy. You are full of jealousy or enviousness. That envious mind is the reason for your weakness, your low power, your non-influentiality. Missing away the leadership. The leaders should have this kind of, say, appreciativeness towards others' success, and automatically they will become leaders. Otherwise, they can't become leaders or influential people. So in that way, Buddha could answer the reason for a person's ability to influence others and person's inability to influence others. That is dependent on how much jealous, how much habituated you are to jealousy or not habituated towards jealousy, like how you are appreciated, how much you are appreciative to others' success, and how much you rejoice in others' joy. Those qualities will contribute to your ability to influence others. So those things he could explain to this Mallika, and Mallika took it very seriously, this discourse. And from that very day, she became completely non-jealous, very appreciative, very kindful and generous and compassionate, offering so many things in so many ways. And then lot of, say, patience, lot of forgiveness she started developing, so that the physical charm also will develop in that very life, and also in her subsequent. She actually took birth in a divine realm. Just for a few days, she was in one hellish realm just for 1 week because of some simple, say, mistake that she could, that some evil action that she could perform. One small lie, it influenced her mind at the time of death, and she has to take birth in one hellish realm, in hell, just for 1 week. And after that, because of all these wholesome actions of forgiveness, of patience, of generosity, great generosity, She could support Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and so many other poor people also in so many ways as a queen. And also her appreciative nature and her wisdom, all these things pushed her to take birth in the divine realm. Again, at the time of death, what kind of intentions, what kind of thoughts will influence that matters. At the time of death, whatever lie she told to her husband, so it came to her mind, and because of that lie, and that because of that guilt that I have lied, that guilt pulled her to the hell, one of the hellish realms. Of course, just for 7 days, because she had accumulated a lot of punya also, with all these great wisdom, great qualities like generosity, like forgiveness, like appreciativeness, mudita, karuna mudita. It was very much practiced by her. And because of that, she could immediately escape from the hell and she could take birth in the heavenly realms. So why I told this, at the time of death, how the mind is, that has a tremendous influence on your rebirth. That also we can see in the life of Mallika Devi. So in that way, again, there are so many suttas to say Mallika and this Pasenadi, King Pasenadi, Buddha gave a lot of suttas. And when she delivered a baby girl instead of boy, everybody was expecting a boy because he will be the successor of this King Pasenadi. But this chief queen, she could give only baby girl. She could deliver a baby girl. So that has actually upset this king. And then Buddha prized the qualities of a woman also. How a woman can change the family, the country, the whole world also. How powerful is the woman? That also we can see in one of the discourses given to this Pasenadi and Mallika. So in that way, Buddha was very clear about the great qualities of the woman also. Of course, physically there may be some limitations for a woman, but of course nowadays even those limitations are overpowered, are taken care of by a lot of scientific inventions. So intellectually, how woman is equal to man, that was very much explained by Buddha in this context. Again, because of Mallika Devi and her daughter Vajira. So in that way, there's so many beautiful suttas associated with this Mallika and her husband Pasenadi, and and the great qualities, the great intelligence of this Mallika to convince and to keep the faith of this Pasenadi very strong in Buddha and his teachings, that could rescue, that could save not only her husband, the king, and that entire kingdom, entire country was saved because of the wisdom of this queen Mallika, and also because of her generous service to the Sangha. It contributed a lot to preserve the teachings of Buddha. So that is the role of this Mallika for the Buddha Sasana, and also for her country, for her husband, and for her country. So in that way, these two great women, they could take care of themselves, and they could progress in the mind, they could liberate themselves from a lot of entanglements of the mind, from a lot of ignorance of the mind. And also because of their virtue, because of their compassion, because of, again, wisdom, they could help their families, they could help the entire, country, the nation, they could help the Sangha, they could help even to resolve the conflicts in the Sangha. To that extent, their wisdom, their virtue was developed, was strengthened, and it could save each and every one. It could help each and every one, whether it is monastic or non-monastic. So that is the virtue and wisdom of these two great women, Mallika and Vishakha. And of course, there are so many other things, other stories related to this. I think this much is enough for today. And if you have any questions, you can ask. So if you have any questions, you can ask. So that way, see, knowing about life and the events, the life events, and the way these different disciples of Buddha, they could handle the different situations, and how they could develop the right faith, the deep, the profound faith, and through that right faith, how they could develop the right view, and because of this right faith and right view, how they could transform themselves, and also they could transform the people around them, which will have a very long-lasting impact on the country, on the Sangha also. So those things we should learn, and we should take those things as the key takeaway, and don't ignore that some teachings of Buddha which are relevant for me only I should learn and listen to those. No, we should have that holistic approach, that say parinyana, the complete approach, what one can learn from different other disciples also. There's so many things. It may transform. So a small incident in one's life may completely transform your thinking, your view, your perception towards life. And that is what is called parinyana, overall approach, overall learning. And Buddha says, so the person who is really interested in developing panya should be always in a receptive mood. He should be in a position to learn from everyone, from everything, from every moment. So then only such a person will develop the true wisdom. So in that way, we should learn all these things with all faith, so that our receptivity will be, say, perfect. And with that higher receptivity, learning will be more effective. Learning will be more inspiring. Learning will be more transforming. In that way, don't ignore any of these things. So just see. So in that way, just see these things are quite relevant. You can learn from the life of each and every disciple, whether he is a lay disciple, monastic disciple, whether he is an ordinary person or a king or whatever it is. Okay, so that is about the key takeaways from this discourse. And about this command, this Kamma Vipaka, the results of the Kamma. It's a very big subject. There's so many things associated with this. So these things you have to learn in a step-by-step, in a systematic way. So those things we teach in our different levels of meditation courses. So then you can go in depth in a very systematic way in learning this command Vipaka. There are so many, of course, discourses also. And if you started realizing in your different meditation courses also about the intentions of the mind, how the intentions lead to actions, and how these actions, if they are good, how they lead to good results. If they are bad, how they lead to bad results. So that kind of in-depth knowledge, in-depth understanding, in-depth opening of the wisdom from within, that about this command Vipaka, about this command, its results, one should get. So for that, a step-by-step training of the mind, an authoritative training of the mind, and a systematic training of the mind. So in that way, you have to understand command, vipaka. It has so many dimensions, so many traits, so many parameters. So you can attend the different levels and you can go in deeper understanding of this command, vipaka. So with that, we will conclude today's Dhamma talk, and of course with one small chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyang nidrupo ahang nicha ahang viya vidacha me sukhi hontu majjata chatavedino mam higammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancharajyesu chakkavale sujantano sadhu sadhu sadhu.